our bodies being our barometers.
Oh, absolutely. There's so many things I want to say about that. But once you realize that when you get feelings in your body, it's your soul talking to you.
Yeah.
It's your soul telling you that something's out of balance and it doesn't feel good. A lot of times I'll feel tightness in my throat because I feel like I'm allowing myself to be shut down, and that if I speak my truth, I'll be punished. I mean, that's a belief that I had, and it was from life experiences, and I'm human and I'm going to make mistakes. And when someone gets angry because I unintentionally made a mistake, and that would make me feel like shamed and guilty and all of those low vibratory qualities. It's all about control and power over. Hello, everybody. I'm Deanna.
Hi, and my name is Deborah.
And we are here to bridge the gap between the everything woo-woo and our practical everyday lives, how this is showing up for us in our everyday life.
Yes. And so we are learning in every moment. And what is great about our relationship is that we kind of bounce it off each other, so we can ask each other, are you feeling this way or what's going on? And so honestly, we had a little sisterly tiff before we were just coming on. And so then we both went inward and we did our breath independently. And then I opened my eyes first and I was looking at Deanna, and I just thought about how much I love her. And I could envision the golden ray of light going between her heart and my heart. And it shifted the whole energy. For me, it shifted the whole energy. I feel like it shifted the whole energy in the room. How was your experience, Deanna? Because we did this. We didn't even talk right before we went on the camera. So
this is real time.
Yeah.
This is everything. Like, what is it called? Live time? Like, this is live.
Yeah.
You're really seeing us live. We, it was really, we seem to be shifting in every minute because we're doing the work. We're not only talking about the work that we do, and this is the difference between us and a lot of other podcasters. They tell you what the laws of the universe are, laws of attraction, but don't tell you how to use it in your everyday life.
Right.
And it comes up moment by moment. And prior to us, being here physically, we had a conversation in the car on the way here.
Yes.
And it was, again, we were back and forth, and we were like talking about what the theme of today is going to be, is about how we sabotage ourselves and what are we resisting.
And the limiting thoughts.
And the limiting thoughts.
And beliefs. Well, okay, so
there's so much.
Belief is a thought that you keep thinking over and over again, and then it becomes a belief.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to
think about that for a minute. Think about that.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm thinking.
Really think about that, because so what's one of your major beliefs?
Okay, so it's interesting because it keeps coming up for me, and it's not something that is conscious. That I'm going to still go back to what you were feeling before we started the podcast, because I asked you that question and then we kind of went off on a tangent. But I'm going to answer this one first.
Yeah, she's going to go back.
And so it's coming to me that it is the lack in limitation, having had the experience of having two young children, leaving a 14-year really unhealthy relationship, and walking away with nothing. Okay, at the age of 46, and my children were only 4 and 7 years old. And so everything that I had in my partnership was business. It was personal. Everything was intertwined.
Yeah.
And I needed to get out so badly that I didn't even think twice about it. I was just like, I'm leaving.
Nothing material was important to you.
No, nothing material was important to me.
Your mental health,
right.
Your mental well-being and the well-being of your children was the most important thing.
The most important thing. So I walked away, and so I didn't have a home. I didn't have a car. I didn't have any money. I didn't have access to money because everything was in his name. And so I went through a period of time where, it was a great period of time because I got to test the law of attraction, which it was right, within that next month that you sent me the movie, The Secret, and that I actually manifested a brand new car. And so then I knew, okay, but I still have this thought process of when something happens or that, that I don't have enough. Okay, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough resources. I don't have enough, I know that I have enough food, so there's basic things that I have, but
yeah, you have shelter, you have food, and you have water.
Yes. And those are all the things that I need. Mm-hmm. And so, but it's the extra stuff that I want and, that I may want.
It'll make your life more comfortable.
More comfortable. Yes.
You want comfort. You're no longer going to struggle.
Right. I'm no longer going to struggle. Exactly.
So that was a belief that you had to struggle?
Yes. Work hard.
Work hard. Yep. That was a belief because that's a thought she kept having over and over and over again.
That's what we were conditioned. And so many of us were conditioned to believe that we have to work hard.
Absolutely. And all of our thoughts aren't even ours.
I know.
We were programmed.
Yes.
We were programmed. And so we have to, that's the whole breaking through the matrix. And
it's not only that, it is ancestral. It is,
it's inside
the way that our parents were. Yes, the matrix is inside of us. It's in our heads. Yes. It's in our bodies. So that's why, so I just want to talk about, this past weekend, everything, not everything, but there were a few things that happened in the house that, I have an older home. So things are going to happen. So I had 3 plumbing issues all come up within 24 hours. And so I woke up, what day was it? Was it Saturday or Sunday? Saturday. I woke up and I was then another plumbing issue came up or something. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Oh my God. It was
you went into
I went into the downward spiral victim role. However, then I told myself, I said, Deborah, you are an empowered, sovereign woman. I said, you've got this. You can, and I had that little talk with myself. And so I had to repeat myself. So I went into my kitchen and I was doing my morning routine and I kept saying to myself, I am an empowered, sovereign woman.
I am to yourself.
In my mind, but sometimes I would say it out loud. I am an empowered, sovereign woman. And so I kept repeating it until I felt it in my body. And then I felt it in my body. And I was like, okay, what would an empowered, sovereign woman do right now? And so I followed those steps, there was one plumbing issue that had just been fixed last year. And so I called that company. Then there was the other 2 plumbing issues that came up. And I called my contractor plumbers, and the plumbers don't always answer. Or they don't always respond though.
Busy.
And sometimes they don't respond.
Oh.
So, yeah. So anyway, mine responded, the next morning.
Great.
And I got everything fixed.
Yes.
One was delayed. It was delayed a week because that plumber had an emergency and I was okay with that. And then, you know what? I was so, it was just so accommodating that the company that he works for was sending me a thank you. I don't know. They said they were sending me a thank you. I don't know if it was just thank you or
energetically
sending me
gratitude.
A thank you.
That's the greatest state of receivership is gratitude.
Yeah.
But let's go back to, so what were you, because there's a spiritual lesson in this. Because, our spiritual lessons show up physically in our lives. And so we were talking, Deborah and I were talking Sunday at some point, and I said, no more leaky faucets.
Yeah.
So we were having this discussion about
Giving too much, giving too much,
away
not
too
having,
much.
Not having strong boundaries. So, and I think, in the giving too much is, the giving for me, I want to fix other people's problems
all
and
the
I
time.
take on their problems and want to do whatever I can to help them.
Yes.
And so whether it's my children or my mother or clients or,
Or me or, yeah.
So the mailman, I don't care, who it is, if they come to me with a problem, I want to fix it for them. Yeah. So that, I became more aware of that.
So that was a belief. So it was a thought. You just, you were conditioned, you were programmed that you kept having over and over again. It didn't come from you. And so the difference between beliefs and, let's say, intuitive hits, insights, spirit talking to you, you're hearing your guides, that is inspiration. And it's not a belief.
But what are you talking about the difference? Okay, so one is inspiration, the other one is what? Just a self-limiting thought.
Self-limiting thought.
It's a self-limiting thought.
Many of our beliefs are maybe, or
because they're not who we are.
Yeah,
they're that conditioned programming.
Yeah,
and so that conditioned programming, happened, when we were younger. And I look back at our, the generations before us, and even us. We didn't have the resources and the internet and all of that until we were in our early 30s, and that was around the early 90s, and that's when it just started coming out. And then it was like 10 years later that we, and don't quote me on the exact dates here, but seems like about 10 years later that cell phones, smartphones actually came out. We started with desktop computers. Mm-hmm. And so it was also new, but our parents didn't have that. So whatever they learned, it was from the TV or their friends or their relatives. And so that's all they knew. And, and religion was so much more prominent than spirituality. And so in religion, they're also being programmed
and controlled.
And controlled. They're being told, what is right, what is wrong, and what they can and cannot do. And so anyway, so now that, we have the resources that we have and we have the whole universe, I mean, it's just so different. So in order for us to, to kind of get through our lives now, because we're like the first generation that actually, hasn't been raised on, having all of the resources. And so, our children didn't have it when they were younger, but then they had it in their teens, right?
They were in their early teens.
Yeah. So not judging, other, our parents or anyone else, or blaming. Yes. So that's always the victim role. So I was in it, like you pointed out, I was in the victim role the other day. And so reprogramming that or being aware of it, number one. Okay. But then reprogramming that, it's not like you make a decision and it's done overnight. Okay, so what happened with us, right before we came on camera, remember? I'm going back to that.
Right before we came on camera?
Yeah, right before the little Sister Tiff that I talked about that we had in conversation.
Yes, I remember.
And so then we both closed our eyes and did so I said what I went through and how I shifted and how I changed it. And so I asked you what it was that you shifted or what you did. So
I did also, I did the breath work, 2 quick inhales and an exhale. And then I envisioned a violet flame, and that's the Saint Germain violet flame is a very healing. So coming up from Mother Earth and just engulfing my entire being to clear the energy, to clear my negative or egoic energy about how I was feeling. I wanted to be, I always want to feel great, so that we have the tools to change instantly. We can change our thoughts in an instant. We can change our beliefs in an instant. And we can just start asking ourselves ourselves questions about, is that really a belief that I have? Like that belief is self-limiting, and it's not serving
give
me.
an example though, because I'll give an example if you don't have one right now. Do you have an example of that?
Of a self-limiting belief?
Yeah, any kind. Yeah, a self-limiting belief. That's a good one right there.
So a self-limiting belief, well, that I'm a victim.
Okay, well, let's go specific.
Okay.
Like a very specific experience that we just had. That was a limiting belief that you had that I kind of called you out on, and that's what started the Tiff. What was it? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was about, I asked if you had the gum for focus.
Actually, what happened before that was that we were setting intentions, and I couldn't hear you because you were mumbling. So I asked you to speak more clearly, and you said that you weren't speaking clearly because. You don't remember?
I do.
Okay.
Because I did 3 or 4 hours of sleep. I took the red eye from San Francisco last night.
Uh-huh.
And I was setting my intentions, or the intentions for our podcast. But I wasn't projecting my voice. I wasn't speaking out. And so Deborah asked me to do that, and I immediately defended myself.
Right.
Yeah. And that's not a good thing.
And also made an excuse.
I have to defend, and made an excuse. So that's not me. That's not who I want to be.
Right. Right.
And yeah, because I am an empowered, sovereign woman.
Right.
Right. So thank you, Deborah, for bringing that to my attention. I didn't even realize it in the moment that I was mumbling.
Yes.
And that I wasn't speaking clearly.
Yes.
So we just did a take two. And that's what you can do, is a take two.
Yeah.
Because it's programming your logical thought process.
What's programming? So you're reprogramming.
Reprogramming.
Yes.
Reprogramming your logical thought process.
Yes.
Which, in the frontal lobe, so that you don't default to the old, victim
or fight or flight.
Yeah, limiting beliefs. Deborah was like scowling. Victim, fight or flight.
But fight or flight is a big one, because that's what most people do. Like, they either fight and argue and defend and attack, or they shut down, or they walk away.
Yes.
Or they don't say anything. They just totally shut down.
Because we're so overwhelmed with emotions.
Well, and two, it's also because of, maybe there was someone in their lives that didn't allow them to speak. We don't know why.
Right.
Right. And instead, if we all just go into our hearts when something comes up like that.
We did. We went into our hearts.
And that's what we did. So we demonstrated it, and we've been practicing it enough that it just happened.
It's great.
It really did just happen.
Yeah. And to acknowledge that was really good.
But we could go back to our bodies being our barometers.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like, there's so many things I want to say about that. But once you realize that when you get feelings in your body, it's your soul talking to you.
Yeah.
It's your soul telling you that something's out of balance and it doesn't feel good. A lot of times I'll feel tightness in my throat because I feel like I'm allowing myself to be shut down, and that if I speak my truth, I'll be punished. I mean, that's a belief that I had, and it was from life experiences, and I'm human, and I'm going to make mistakes. And when someone gets angry because I unintentionally made a mistake, and that would make me feel like shamed and guilty, and all of those low vibratory qualities. It's all about control and power over.
Right. And so the guilt and shame, okay, so whether you're on the receiving end of that or the attacking end of that, and we've all been in both positions.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the guilt and shame, we all carry enough guilt and shame with us that if somebody else is attacking us and trying to make us feel the guilt and shame, or, why would you do that? Asking questions with that tone of voice.
Yes.
Well, how fast were you going? Instead of just listening, holding the space unconditional love. Okay. And think about all the, like people want to talk about what's going on in the world. I mean, I even saw a professional, I saw a medium last week. And one of the things that she we were just in conversation before she went into her thing. And she was like, with everything going on out in the world, and I was like, I'm not affected by that. I said, because I don't pay attention to it and I don't feed it energy.
Because it's all low vibration.
So can we just go into the higher realms?
Yeah. Let's get there now.
Please.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have so much to talk about that we're going to expand on this in our next episode.
Okay.
The self-sabotaging thoughts, the limiting beliefs, and how we overcome that, and that it takes time because we're reconditioning ourselves. We're reprogramming ourselves so that it becomes natural.
Yes.
And it is a lot of work. It's easy, but it's a lot of work.
Well, how can it be easy and a lot of work? What do you mean? So the work is easy?
So you have to be aware in every moment. Like, be aware of how you're feeling, what feelings you're having in your body, listening to your body, being mindful. And so when you're tired or you're hungry, it's a lot harder. So you always want to be nourished. You always want to, take care of any kind of imbalance. So,
but
so
if you
have enough sleep.
Yes. But if you haven't, like today, that you didn't, then you can shift your thoughts and shift your energy in an instant, in the moment, and just make a decision to do that. So it's just like, if you're focusing your energy on everything, all the bad news that, is being programmed into people's minds, and it's all a narrative, or someone's perception or what they want you to hear, that you can, just detach from that and not give it any energy. Yeah. And it's just like, if you say, well, I'm talking this way because I only had 3 to 4 hours of sleep last night. No. You don't want to feed that energy.
No.
So you make up your mind. I mean, this is what my intention is to be here, be present, and be my best self.
And I don't want to feel bad about myself. I mean, this is my choice. I'm making these choices and I want to feel great.
Yeah. So if you catch yourself, you're undernourished, you're a little bit tired. What was the other one? Was there another one? Undernourished, a little bit tired, haven't had enough sleep. Was thirsty. That you shift it in your mind, and you can do that by going into your heart, doing a little breath work. We've even done it live, on the program here. Go into your heart center and connect with yourself, and then connect. And you can even, if you're in a heated discussion with somebody and you're like, oh my God, I didn't have enough sleep last night for that, or I'm not nourished enough for that, or you're getting too excited or too whatever, because you can feel it in your body, that you say, excuse me, just a moment, and you, I'll be right back. And you don't even have to leave, but you can just close your eyes and do that. And, demonstrating that. And so when a person can see that it's actually that what you're doing, what if the other person is on the receiving end and you're the attacker, and you're like, okay, hold on. I gotta take a moment here, because I don't want to be that way. And then you go inward, and you could do this at work. I'm sure there's people in the audience who are like, oh yeah, be real. I could never do that at my audience. Yes, you can. You can do that. And that's how the world changes. The world doesn't change because we're sitting in our recliners watching the news and thinking that we're going to change the world with our thoughts about how horrible that is.
Right.
No. It's every single moment of the day.
Yes.
And being in tune and aware of this wonderful body that we have to experience this soul journey on, because we are here to evolve. We are not here to be controlled.
That's right.
And so we have the power within us.
Yes.
Everybody wants to talk about, having the power within you. We have the power within us right now to shift anything that we want to. But you just have to know how to do it. And you have to believe and trust that you can do it yourself.
And we know you can. We're doing it, and we're showing you in real time that we're doing it. And we would love to hear from you. We want to hear how this conversation has affected your daily thinking and how, what changes you're seeing manifest in your life because you're coming from an empowered place and not a victim role or a weak place. So because you're coming from an empowered place, because you believe in yourself,
right?
Because we believe in you.
Yes. So thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you so much.
We love you.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.